I'm Tom Graham, and this is Fox News.
Hey everybody, this is Tyler from down at Rent Right, and welcome to the second episode of the Rent Right Radio Hour. I am with Bill Adams, our owner. Bill, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Tip Tuesday, right?
Tip Tuesday. What's the tip you got for us?
Well, I don't know. We're going to talk about Hustler Morris today.
Yes,
Correct?
we are.
Sure.
We are.
Excited about that.
So what's your favorite model?
Favorite model?
Favorite.
Wow. Personally, X1 and Super Z, that's what I use at home.
Right.
Either X1 or Super Z, 60-inch, Kawasaki engine. Yeah, I'll go with either one of those two.
Either one. So you're going top of the line commercial.
Top of the line commercial. We've got one in we're going to talk about today, I hope, called a Super Z Hyperdrive. Top of the line commercial mower. I hope you bring that up today.
Yes, we will. But let's start out with our residential mowers. All right, we talked about this a bit last week. We've got the Raptor X, the Raptor XD, and the Raptor XDX. We've got those. The Raptor X comes in a 42-inch deck and then a 54. From there on, the XD and the XDX has a 48-inch deck, 54, and then a 60 as well. And the warranty. Can you go over the warranty for
Warranty
those?
is fabulous on these, and the only way you can give great warranty is have great equipment. You can't warranty anything for any length of time if it's low quality. So Hustler is really telling the story with their warranty. The warranty that we have on the Raptors, 3 years, 300 hours. The Fast Track model is a mid-range model, 4 years, 750 hours. The Fast Track SDX, I hope we talk about that today. It's a new model for the last couple of years. 4 years, 1,000 hours, which is unheard of. And then also the Super Z and the X1. The X1 is 5 years, 1,200 hours.
1,200.
5 years, 60 months, 1,200 hours. Okay?
And that is parts and labor.
Parts and labor.
That's not just a limited warranty. That's going to be your parts and your labor for anything that goes down in that period of time.
Exactly. The Super Z, my favorite, 2 years, no hour limit. Okay,
Yep.
And for your commercial cutters, that's extremely important because they're customers that might mow 300 to 500 hours a year.
Right.
For FYI, for people listening today, your average homeowner mows 50 to 70 hours per year. So
Right.
you divide that out by the weeks in the year, and it'll give you some idea of how many hours on a zero turn that you'll be mowing.
Right, and that's liberal. That's when you've got a bigger yard, as well.
Larger yard.
The larger the yard, the more hours you're going to put on it, of course. All these residentials, they run the Kawasaki FR series,
They do.
and once you get up into the commercials, they're going to be running an FX series engine. So the biggest difference you have between that is, of course, it's a residential engine, but the block is the same. If you've got an engine that says it's a 691, it's going to be the same block, whether it's commercial or residential. The only difference is going to be what they call bolt-ons.
Right.
So that's going to be your carburetor, your air filters, all of those different things is going to be what makes it different, what makes it last longer. So the FX engine's got an inner and outer air filter like you'd see on a lot of tractors. It's very similar to anything like that.
Canister type air cleaner for people that need a description that's bold, looking on top of the engine. Your FR, which is a fabulous engine, with a more of a cone-shaped, longer type air breather, two-piece, paper and foam, great air filter.
Right, and that's very important. A lot of people underestimate the air filter and its life and on the life of your engine. If you really want longevity in your motors, you want to have that air filter clean. A lot of times through the different times of the year, it gets dusty, it gets hot, it gets dry, And it's important to keep those not only dusted out and cleaned off, but to get new ones when they need it, because those fibers within those filters, they break down over time, and just blowing them out, that can also break some of those fibers up and make that air filter less effective.
It does. Less effective, less horsepower, less life. Heat, dirt,
Right.
And air are the three things that kill engines. So if you want longevity, I do recommend the Kawasaki engines.
Yes.
2,000 hours is you'll be able to run 2,000 hours with proper valve adjustment, oil changes, air filter changes. You got to be able to get 2,000 hours out of these small Kawasaki engines.
Right. But it's now time. This is what you've been waiting for. We're getting to it early on. Is the Super Z Hyperdrive.
Hyperdrive.
Hyperdrive 72-inch cut. That's pretty big.
It's big.
Yeah, you can cut a lot of ground, ball fields especially, city people doing all that kind of work to cut down on man hours.
Right.
You need to maintenance that grass and keep it at the right height.
Yeah, I do want to invite our commercial cutters, even if you're using a different brand, to stop by and just check us out. And we'll even do demos.
Yes.
I'll volunteer you, Tyler, to go out and do a demo with our favorite Hyperdrive.
Right.
And we'll bring it to you. Spend some time on it or come by the store. And love to show you the Hyperdrive and the other Hustler products, fabulous products that they make. You know, one thing that I always tell folks about Hustler, they're all yellow. They're not fancy, but they're functional.
Right.
Extremely functional, extremely easy to work on, very, very easy to, what's that going on? I love it.
Yeah.
So anyway, please call us, 762-8187, rentrideequipment.com.
That's right. And if you do want a price or a description, or you want to get on it, we've got it out there. I've got it out on the front porch right now.
Yep.
So if you want to drive it and just feel the power, all right, if you've been on any kind of zero-turn mower or anything like that, once you get on this thing, you're not going to want to go back.
Yeah, 35 horsepower.
Yep.
Come in different engines. The 35 is my choice. And we do special order these. We can choose the engine combinations on these mowers, but the FX 850 on the X1s is what I like.
Right.
On the FX 1000 is what we like on the Hyperdrive.
Right. That's the 1000.
Yep.
FX 1000. That's going to be a 35 horse. The FX 850 is going to be a 27 horse.
27 horse. Yeah.
Right. So now let's move on to hydro gear transmissions. Hydro gear. So hydro gear is the ones that makes most of the transmissions that go on our Hustler mowers. The other ones, they do have some Parker transmissions as well.
Pumps.
Parker pumps, right. But the hydro gear is top of the line.
It is.
Used by many, very trusted, very well-known brand. And on the XDX, it's got the Hydro Gear ZT 3100, and that has 350 foot-pounds of torque, and you can move 8 miles an hour, and that's pretty good for a residential, wouldn't you say?
It sure is. By the way, back to my favorite Hyperdrive, it'll run 18 miles an hour, I believe. So I mean, you can go to Walmart on that thing if you want to.
Yeah, pull a George Jones, right?
That's right. But back to the Hydro Gear, American-made pumps.
Yes.
The 31s, the 28s, and I think we even use a 21.
Yes, that's
a Hydro Gear 21. All of them are great pumps.
Right, and that brings us, once you get to the smaller ones, that's going to be on your Raptor X, and those are sealed pumps. So they don't have the filters that go on them. They're sealed. You don't have to worry about them. Maintenance free. Once you get up and you get more torque, you get more power. You're going to be running it more. Those are serviceable transmissions. They run 20W50 motor oil, just like anything else. You just need that. Make sure it's synthetic. Whatever you get, of course, we offer Kawasaki 20W50 that we recommend to go in those, but it's got to have that viscosity.
Viscosity.
Yeah, it's one of those big words.
Yeah.
And once you get up to the ZT 4400, that has 575 foot-pounds of torque and will move to 12 miles an hour. That's when you're getting to like your X1. That's going to be kind of, and that's pretty fast for a mower.
Sure.
I don't know. You hear 12 mile an hour. That's
Yeah.
not. I can run faster than that. But
Yeah, well, you're not gonna mow that fast. Some people
Right.
have that misunderstanding that you mow that fast. Your cut quality is not going to be there mowing that fast. But where you do save time if you're moving from one end of the yard to the other, and you need to you're on a time schedule, you can cut down on time saving by being able to move quickly.
and that is a big thing for any commercial mower. Time's your enemy. You've got to make up all of as much of that time as you can to get as much grass cut as you can. And all of these units we have accessories.
Accessories, a lot of accessories.
That's it.
What's the chute? What's the name of the side chute?
Grass flap.
Grass flap. Okay, tell me about grass flap.
So grass flap, it's a flap that covers where the grass ejects from the mower deck, and it's on a foot pedal. So you hit it with your foot and it covers it up. So if you're cutting around flower beds, or you're cutting close to a house and you don't want to blow the grass onto the house or blow it onto the flower beds, you just slap that little thing down with your foot. It's on a spring. It'll close once you get done. You flap it back up and you keep on putting out.
You create, by having that grass flap on, you create, I call it trim side. You have two trim sides. Traditionally on a mower, your left side is your trim side,
Right.
and your chute side is to the right. But when you have a grass flap and it's down, you can trim your flower beds and your edging on both sides of the mower. Again, it's time saving.
Right. And a lot of people use them. We do have mulch kits that we can put in there that will separate each blade so that whenever grass season comes or you just want to mulch up your grass and all that kind of stuff, you can do that. But a lot of people just put that on there, and whenever leaves come out, you put that down and you can mulch up all your leaves. It puts nutrients back into the ground so that it doesn't kill your grass, because that's important. You let the leaves lie, and then that's detrimental to the look of your yard once spring comes. But if you mulch all that up, it puts all that nutrients back in the ground to give you a greener grass.
So what we're talking about is not just quality equipment in Hustler, Hustler turf products. We're giving you some tips today on just yard maintenance and with aeration possibly.
Oh yeah.
And some other things, some other tips. Tip Tuesday.
That's it.
So yeah.
Another thing is the mower deck itself. I believe, like we said last week, I've got that show, the display deck that it's out there, so you can see the route of the deck belt and see how all the spindles and pulleys work. We can flip that up and show you the blades and show you all of how the deck works. But one thing that's important is tip speed.
Tip
You want
speed.
to go into tip speed a little bit?
Tip speed is extremely important. The way the deck works and the way the pitch of the blades,
Right.
if people understand that your blades are tipped just a little bit, operates like a fan, similar to a box fan or a ceiling fan. It's the same principle of moving air. So what we need to do is keep our tip speed high.
Right.
So we're actually lifting grass, okay? That's mysterious to us sometimes when we think about decks. You're lifting grass, and when it's standing up, then you're cutting it off at a high RPM.
Right.
Hustler, they're running between 18 and 18.9 RPMs, so they're extremely quick. It's one of the highest in the industries. There are some good decks on other brand mowers, but Hustler leads the way, especially in the VX deck that we can talk about.
Absolutely. And that 18 to 18.9 feet per minute, that's over 200 miles an hour.
It's 200 miles an hour.
So no matter which way you slice it, your blades are moving at an incredibly fast rate. Yeah, but go into the VX deck.
VX deck is designed, you have a choice to make. Do you want a bush hog type deck, or do you want a cut quality type deck? And on the Super Z, the X1, the Hyperdrive, those are your cut quality, high end look for manicured yards. Now, they're designed to cut anything from 2.5 inches up to 4 inch height. We'll talk about that later. on your cut height is my favorite. But the VX is designed to keep that pristine yard for the customer that wants to mow every 5 days during peak time, April, May, first part of June, that wants to take off half inch up to an inch of cut. It's not for the guy that wants to bush hog his pasture, even though I do it on occasion,
Right.
and clip the top. But really, where that VX really spreads its wings and does a fabulous job is in that cut quality for the customer that wants to keep a manicured yard on a regular basis. That's where it really shows out. The striping is real popular these days with Hustler products. You know, we do sell stripe kits and some of those accessories along with lights and those things. But my experience with a VX deck on a Super Z or an X1,
Right.
you don't need a stripe kit. Okay, you're going to be excited after you see it cut and after you used it on your yard 5 or 6 times, 5 or 6 weeks in, you're going to have a beautiful, beautiful place.
That's it. And one of the things we've talked about, the tip speed of your blades. We carry everything you need to keep your mower running in tip-top shape. We carry the pulleys. Mm-hmm. We carry the spindles. We carry the blades. We carry all of these different things. And one of the things that's very important is the bearings that go into all of these products, because it's those ball bearings that keep everything running smoothly. Pulleys use sealed bearings. So all of it is sealed together, spins, and keeps it all in one place. So it keeps out dirt, keeps out grime, and it's a whole lot less maintenance, wouldn't you say?
With a seal bearing. Old school thought is like we were raised, or I was raised, is keep the grease gun handy and you grease everything in sight. Okay? So that's all we had was an open face bearing that you use grease guns on and you sling grease. The new order is seal bearings that are better bearings. Sometimes they're needles, sometimes they're ball bearings. Depends on the need, with a seal on it, and which holds the grease in, and we can just about tell you how long those bearings are going to last. And then secondly, say you do have a bearing go out early, and usually the reason a bearing goes down is usually moisture. People trying to mow too early in the day on a regular basis. We can talk about that in a little bit. But the beauty of especially bearings that are on Hustler decks, I call it singing to you. They'll begin to tell you when it's time to replace them. They're going to sound different. You'll have one sound a little bit different. And if you're really paying attention to your mower and you're caring for it like we're going to teach you to do, it's going to tell you when it's time to go down. So at that time, you'll bring it to us. We've got a fabulous service department. We'll be able to identify which bearing it is at a fairly low cost. They're not that expensive, and we'll be able to fix that for you and get you back going without a lot of downtime. So we'd be glad to help you through that and talk you through that. Should not be a big issue. Great pulleys, great belts. We need to talk about belts a little bit, but seal bearings is the wave right now. And now we do have certain models like the Super Z and also the X1 who have grease fittings
Right.
on those spindles, and they also have seal bearings. You want to take a guess why that's that way?
Double protection.
Double protection.
If that bearing gets hot and it breaks that seal, you've got that ability to keep putting more grease on top of it, so it not only seals it better, but it will also help get you a little longer life out of it if you can hear it singing.
It will. And so commercial cutters, again, those guys are cutting 300 to 500 hours a year. They make their livelihood on those mowers. Bearings start singing a little bit. You know it's time for it to be changed. He might be where he needs to finish up the day before we can change that bearing, put a little grease on it, keep it cool, and finish the day, change the bearing after he gets off work.
Yeah. Absolutely. Another big thing when it comes to your pulleys that are under your covers, right? The outside pulleys are under covers. It's a big, big thing to keep those clean.
Yeah.
Remove those covers, and that's one thing that Hustler does really well about is they've got little hand nuts, like little wing nuts that you can take off, so you don't have to get out there with a wrench. You can do it by hand, pull that off, and pull the grass and dirt out from between your belt and your pulleys and all those kind of things, because all of that grass that gets built up in there will eventually start to heat it up.
Yeah. The two things, one is heat.
Right.
Other one's dirt. What I recommend doing, instead of washing every day, washing your deck off every day, a battery-powered blower. Just blow it off. And a lot of you commercial guys keep those on their trucks.
Right.
And they'll blow their mower off. Even the top of the engine, the shroud over the Kawasaki engine, they'll blow those off, blow out the pumps. And it's a great way just to keep your machine grass-free, no buildup on it. It runs cooler.
Yeah.
So that's a smart thing to do. Tip Tuesday, and keep your engine running great.
That's it. We've talked a little bit about blades, like the tilt of the blade, that it's pulling the grass up, but there's a lot of different types of blades, right? You think, I just want blades. I don't care which one, which one's going to do anything different. And you've got your high lift and your low lift is what we like to call them. So your high lift is going to have more of a tilt on that blade to bring that grass further up, especially if you want that clean stripe look, you're going to want those. Those really help. Now, if you're just trying to cut, the low lift, they're a little bit cheaper, and they still do a really good job, but the purpose is different, right? And that's the way it is with all these different blades, is we've got gator blades, and gator blades, it's another type of mulching blade. We have mulching blades as well, to where it is bent up, it looks like little teeth that are on the top part of the blade, so that whenever your grass runs through there, it chops it up even more.
Sure.
So that what you're sending out is not long bits of grass, but even shorter, more finer. That way it can be absorbed back down into the ground and get the nutrients that you're cutting off those blades. And another thing we have with some of our high lift blades is what we call a fusion blade. Now, what do you think fusion means?
Fusion, I know what it does.
Yeah.
Fusion is a protection that's manufactured into the blade tips. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
And for protection, more life. Maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah. So a fusion blade, you can think about of infusion. So what they do is you take your regular lawnmower blade with the type of metal that's there, the steel that's there, and they basically they fuse into it what's called tungsten carbide steel.
Okay.
And it stays sharp about 3 times as long as a regular mower blade does. And the thing about tungsten carbide is it's one of the hardest metals known to man.
Wow.
It's really hard. It's up there with titanium, if you go and look that up and read on it. And so they fuse that into the blade, and you can feel it. If you flip your blade over and feel, there'll be a little bit of rough edges on the bottom of it. You can just kind of feel it, little bumps that show you that's what it is, that it's been fused on there to harden the blade so that the more you cut, it's not going to wear it down as fast. Because that's one thing we see a lot is worn out blades, and they get thinner and thinner, and eventually they crack and break. And people are like, well, I didn't even know. I've never changed the blades. But it's really important. And those things, we have those options so that you have to change your blades less.
Right.
So you don't have to sharpen them as much to make the maintenance easier, and you don't have to do it as often.
What just a ballpark on a Raptor mower, maybe a 54-inch. It's a 3-blade. That's a 3-blade deck.
It is.
We do have some 2-blade decks in the 42s.
Yep.
But the majority of your mowers are 3-bladed decks.
Yeah.
A residential mower, a Raptor XD, 54-inch. What can a customer expect to pay for a set of 3? Just a ballpark.
Ballpark, no matter which blade you're going for, you're looking at about $20 to $25 a piece.
Okay.
Until you get up into the full commercial mower blades.
Okay.
So you can get those $20 to $25 from your residential all the way to the Fast Track XCX, and even sometimes in your X1. Once you get into the Super Z and the Hyperdrive, your blade is going to be about a third wider. It's going to be a lot heavier blade. But yeah, it's about 60 to $75 for,
right.
for
And
a
we
set of blades.
sell we sell OEM
Yes.
parts, original equipment manufacturer, designed blades, belts, all parts are straight from Hustler. They're not an aftermarket a company that we use. They'll be stamped with Hustler's number on those blades. So all are original manufacturer blades.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Come directly from Hustler. So let's get into, we've talked about Hustler. We've talked about our product and everything that we really love about it, but let's get into some of the practical stuff. So if you are trying to make your yard look better, what are the best types of grasses to get the kind of yard that you want?
Let's replay the part of the world that we live in,
Okay.
if you want to.
Yeah.
And we live in rural Lawrence County, Tennessee, Giles County, Wayne County, North Alabama, Murray County, all similar, but we're pretty rural in the way we live. We do have some really nice neighborhoods with 200, 300 homes and so forth, and we have mowers that will fit those needs also, from 42s to 60-inch decks. The common way that we live in this part of the world, being rural, is a 2-acre yard, 3-acre yard, with a house in the center, with a driveway in it, maybe 5 acres, and some of us have outline area, a pasture ground that we keep. Maybe Grandpa gave us 2 or 3 acres off of the cornfield, or off the family property. So we live a little bit rural, and so that plays into how we care for our yards. What I see a lot, Tyler, is fescue yards that which is fabulous in this part of the world, but it has to be maintained, and it has to be mowed taller than your zoysia or your Bermuda grasses that are carpet type grass that we really like. And so with fescue, ryegrass and fescue needs to be kept taller. Aeration is really important. We do rent aerators that you can pull type aerators, and also gas powered that you can walk behind to aerate. Explain to us what an aerator is.
So the aerator specifically that we have, and from our experience, it's the best kind. It's a plug type aerator. So the tines on it, literally run it on the ground. It pulls plugs out of your yard, and that gives space, right? If the more your ground is compacted, the less the grass is able to grow. So it takes and breaks up your ground, gives it room to space out a little bit, so that you can fertilize, so that you can sow more grass, so that you're trying to attain the yard and lawn that you're looking for, and also fertilize and all those kind of things. It lets it get down into the soil, because otherwise, a lot of people, they talk about dethatching their yard. Aeration is better, because dethatching, you literally are going through with a rake, and you're trying to pull up all that dead grass that's packed up there, and you can kill some of your grass that's there as well by trying to rip up and ripping up the roots. And so doing that, it gives your lawn the best it can be to grow.
Sure.
And be
Well,
healthy.
aeration is so much better than say tilling or disking when you're wanting to overseed.
Yeah.
A lot of us, especially after this dry year that we had in 23, a lot of grass was lost, and it's especially the cool weather grass like fescue and rye. And if you want to go back with that, what I would recommend is aeration, and also get a soil sample. We can do that at our local ag extension agent here in the county, and they'll be glad to get that soil sample for you, or one of the seed places that where you buy seed and fertilize. Get that sample done. See how much lime you need to be put back in the ground and fertilize. buy the proper seed, and then of course aeration, and then fertilize and lime. You'll be surprised how much better when you get through the year of what your yard's going to look like, and it's going to thicken back up and just look better. Now, going back to your zoysia grass, and we have a good bit of zoysia grass on my yard. Hustlers do great on zoysia grass. Again, if you're trying to mow it inch tall, inch and a half, it's just too short for it to be kept beautiful. Also remember, whatever you have on top, that's the amount of root you're going to have on the bottom. So when you hit June, July, those hot times of the year, you're going to want a little more root for your grass to keep it really nice. So you will mow your zoysia and your Bermuda a little bit shorter than you will your fescue. Probably 2.5 to 3 inches is what I like for yards. Some people like it a little bit shorter. Hustler Equipment does fabulous at 2.5 to 3. Even in the warm times of the year, I might even go to 3.5 on zoysia.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's another thing. I was talking with Dustin from Dustin's Landscaping.
Yep.
Right. So talking
Hustler
about
customer.
That he is.
Hustler customer.
Very good customer. We really appreciate him and all of his business that we've done.
We have a lot of good customers.
We do.
A Hustler pro guys that use Hustler products to make their living. And I just want to say I really appreciate those guys.
Absolutely. And one thing, I was talking to him, he was coming in, and he was looking at stuff and equipment, and I was asking him, what do you want to do getting ready for spring? I got up today and there was snow on the ground, and there was snow on my hood, and I had to start that truck up, try and melt it all. So you really don't think about spring is coming when there's just little bits of snow everywhere. But it is. Spring's going to be here, and then summer's going to be here, and we're all going to be like, man, I wish it'd get cold again, because those 100-degree days get hot. But I was asking him, what do we do in the spring? What are some of those things that we can do coming up so that we have that healthy, good-looking lawn once we get into season? And just like we talked about, he said aerate, fertilizer, lime, and weed and feed.
Weed and feed's great.
Getting rid of the weeds you don't want, the dandelions, all those different kind of weeds that you don't like popping up. It's a perfect way to get started in the spring to keep your lawn looking pretty.
You need to get started before growth time.
Right.
And that needs to be done now. And I'd get with a professional, guys that sell poison and weed and feed and those things, and look for those recommendations.
Right. So what is the best time of day to cut your grass?
Best time of the day? Whenever you want to, man. No, I like to, just measure by the dew.
Right.
Depends on the time of the year. But, if I have to, there's summer days that you can start at 9, 8:30, 9 o'clock and be fine. But it really depends on what you're mowing. If I'm mowing my zoysia or versus my fescue, I might mow one or the other at a different time. I've been known to mow my fescue, which is the outline part of our yard, a little taller and a little earlier in the day. Okay. So anytime you're wet, when your grass is wet, that's when you're clumping. You get grass clumps and your deck clogging and those kind of things. So you need to play it by ear and see and test it out. You need to walk through the grass with your shoes and just see how that's working out. And test that dew out. Probably my target time is about 10 o'clock.
Right.
9:30, 10 o'clock to get started. And if I got to come up with the exact time, it would be 10 a.m.
There you go. And so from people I've been talking to and looking online to see what's the best time for our climate and everything from the research I've been able to do, it's exactly with you. That morning, once the dew has burned off, but before the heat of the day. You don't want to cut in the heat of the day. It puts a lot of stress on your grass, and it can kill some certain areas. But if you can't get to it in the day, if you don't have time, if you're not just cutting on Saturday, but you're cutting during the week, they say the best times is going to be around 4 to 6.
Yeah, in
when
the
you've
evening.
got those
Yep.
longer days in the evening.
Sure.
So that it's after the heat of the day, but it also gives the grass enough sunlight to be able to repair itself before you get into nighttime, because you don't really want to cut it when it's dark or when it's about to get dark, because that's where your moisture sets in. And if you cut it with all that in it without it getting the chance to burn off and heal, that's another way that you can damage your lawn.
The other thing I want to recommend is for great looking yards. You've got to dedicate yourself to mowing. After you fertilized and limed, it's going to grow more rapid, and,
Right.
and it's that's what you want. So you might be on a 5-day cycle. You might not can go to 7 days, or some maybe go on a vacation and they're gone 10 days. To keep it looking really sharp, it's going to have to be mowed when your grass tells you it needs to be mowed. So
Right.
it just depends on what you want. If you want a fantastic looking yard, 5-6 days, it's going to have to be clipped.
Right. Absolutely. And we got into this a little bit, but one thing of the best height to cut your grass, of course, that depends on what type of grass it is, fescue or zoysia or Bermuda. But one of the big things that I've been seeing is it's the 1/3 rule. Have you ever heard the 1/3 rule?
Explain it to us.
So basically, whatever height your grass is, you don't want to take more than 1/3 off the leaf. So if your grass is 3 inches, you don't want to take any more than 1 inch off it.
Makes sense.
Because the more you cut, again, you're going to damage the grass. It's not going to have enough time to grow back or recuperate. And so that's the 1/3 rule. No matter what height you're cutting, a lot of people recommend for the best yards is to be more of that 3 to 4 inch, depending on what you're doing. But you never want to take more than 1/3 off if you don't want to damage your lawn.
Yeah.
So another important thing, of course, is to clean and scrape your deck. Again, we talked about just a bit earlier, you clean out from around the pulleys, you blow it off.
Sure.
But if you do end up cutting when it's a little bit wet, you're going to have grass build up.
Sure you will. It's no doubt about it. You're gonna have some occasional clogging, and there's going to be times when you've gone through a really rainy season,
Right.
and you've got to mow, and so just to get it knocked down. So during those times, it might be a wash instead of a blow off type thing. I think it's perfectly fine. The routine having to scrape and dig and all the grass out from under the deck, if it's maintained and mowed properly, that won't happen. So if you're mowing when your yard tells you it's time to mow, you should not have those clog issues. But it has to be checked. It needs to be clean, mainly because of the fan type motion that the blades are working through for bearing longevity,
Right.
for belt longevity. These things, the belts are manufactured in a way to really last a long time. I've often said on the Hustler mowers, if I had to make a living just selling belts, we'd go broke.
Right.
But we just do not see a lot of heavy belt wear on Hustler products. It's because of the fantastic pulleys, the design of the decks, and a lot of it has to do with fantastic customers that care about their machines. So with that, you keep your decks clean underneath,
Right.
maintain properly, and it's going to function for years
Absolutely.
and years.
Because you got to think about it. That grass, if you've got a 60-inch cut, it's got a long way to go to
Sure.
get to the other side.
Yeah.
And that's the way they're designed with the bevels in the bottom.
Right.
Right. It pulls that grass around, sends it to the next blade,
Right.
onto the next blade, and then out the
Yeah.
chute.
Well, something just came to mind. I just want to throw in here. We're talking about, we're not talking about a mower, a piece of equipment that's going to last 2 or 3 years. We started selling Hustler products in 2003. We're still seeing those 2003, 2004 models come into us for service.
Yeah.
They're mowing fabulous. Customers really care. If you're looking for something that's going to, we call them a lifetime mower, something that's going to stick with you, and you're not going to have to replace every 3 years or so, you need to consider a Hustler mower, especially the Fast Tracks, the X1s, Super Zs, and certain Raptor models are just fantastic.
Absolutely, and that's a big thing. If you want something cheap, then you can go somewhere to get it, right? But that's something important, is that you'll get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And if you want something to last a long time,
Sure.
you want to pay what it's worth
Yep.
to get it, and then also take care of it.
Sure.
And keep those things maintenance and those things.
And we'd love to show you how to do that.
Yeah.
And how to maintain, and that's we're more than just a place to buy equipment. We've got pretty good information, so come see us, and we'd love to talk.
And if you want to maintenance those things yourself, we're happy to show you how to do it. The rundown. It's very simple to change the engine oil on your Kawasaki engines. It's a really simple process. And anything you need to know, we're more than happy to help you and walk you through it. And we're also more than happy to help you and service it for you.
It's a lot of fun for my wife and I to ride through the county and ride into town and see how many Hustler mowers, yellow mowers, are on trailers that are being used throughout the years, and especially during the mowing seasons. And we've done that on occasion, ride through Lawrenceburg and just count how many we see on the back of trailers, and it's phenomenal how many you see.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Now, we talked a little bit about striping.
Striping, yep.
Right? Striping, when you see somebody and you go up and you see those stripes, you think, man, that looks good. I want to do that. And so what we're going to talk about now is just what is striping, what actually it is. All that stripes are is the way the sun reflects off the grass when you lay it down in certain directions. So for the best stripes, it's recommended you alternate, right? Your patterns, you go one way, and you go the other. Most people cut a perimeter, either 1 or 2 deck widths wide. That way you have that nice, easy way to turn around. Gives you that clean edge. And then you just alternate back and forth to get that nice stripe. But it is important not to cut the same direction every time.
Every time, yeah.
Can you tell me why that is?
I think it has to do just with the cut quality. You're gonna, I think of your tire tracks when you follow the same pattern, and that's where your compaction in your yard comes from. I've been guilty of doing that, and you'll see the kind of like a path when the dog runs to the barn, you see the same path, or the cat worn out. But you can do that with your mower. But aeration is going to help with that. Keep that ground loose for a quality growth. And when got quality growth, you're going to have a quality cut. So
right, absolutely. Another thing, you see the stripes, but a lot of people, they want to put the checkerboard pattern.
Sure.
And so a lot of people, you're going to have to train your grass, by the way. It's not going to happen your first cut or your second cut. It's going to take a few weeks, a month or two, to get your grass used to the way that you want it to lay down. And so you go a certain direction and you do that, and then you decide you're going to go the other direction, and that's how you get those nice checkerboard patterns.
Occasionally, Jimmy and I'll be out of town. I'll hire one of our customers, our Hustler customers, to come mow for us. We got home, and he had mowed a checkerboarded in a diagonal, instead of a crisscross, and I thought that was really cool. So you're right. You can be creative on striping. That might give you an edge if you're a commercial cutter that maybe your competitor is not able to do with his equipment. So I would really suggest checking out Hustler and just the tip speeds we're talking about, the cut quality we're talking about. It's going to set you apart from some of these other brands that are available around town.
Right. And that's another thing is those stripes, they're going to look different depending on the time of day.
Time of day.
Because of the way, of course, again, all it is just the way the grass is laying down. So when the sun is at a different direction, you're going to get sometimes where it really, really pops.
Right.
And I know I'll drive around town and you see that and you're like, man, it just really looked good.
Height of your grass,
Yes.
and you'll just have to experiment a little bit with it. And we can give you some tips on it and show you some yards around that do a really nice job striping.
And that's part of the fun of it, though, is that you get to play with it, right? It's something that it's not just cut and dry, right? Pun intended, I guess. It's fun, and that's one thing. People enjoy yard work. If you enjoy mowing, that's one thing. When I was a teenager, I cut grass. I was 14 years old, cutting 40 hours a week, right? And it was just fun. I love being on a zero-turn mower. It's relaxing. To me, anytime during the summer, whenever grass is growing, I can go out and cut around rent right. It's just like get about an hour or two of just calm.
Great equipment. It's fun. And, of course, we've done it for years, 40-something years now. And good quality equipment excites us.
Yeah.
And Hustler falls into that category of good quality. I want to tell you a little story just for a second on X1. We got time?
Yeah.
X1, this happened maybe 5 or 6 years ago. The owner of Hustler at the time, they're made out in Heston, Kansas, and he challenged his team of engineers on the X1. You know, it's the middle of the road, fantastic commercial mower X1. And he said, I want to make it, it's super functional and easy. He said, I even want to make it more so for our commercial guys. I want to even make it less difficult and less expensive for them to repair when they're out in the field. So he challenged them. They came back with a prototype that took out 37 parts.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and it didn't cheapen the mower. It actually made it better, and with strength-wise. And so that's what we have today. We have the that design. And now outwardly, they've done some fit and finish things that make them look really sharp with the black, the foot trays and different things, the
Absolutely.
tanks. And they look really, really good. If you want to go to rentrightequipment.com, you can see all those mowers on there.
Yes, you can.
Or hustlerturf.com, you can see. But they've really done a fabulous job with the look. And again, not fancy, but very, very functional.
Yes.
For your commercial guys.
And one of the things that's very functional that I really like that they've actually just started doing within the last few years is the foot pan.
Foot pan.
It's got a bolt in it. You pull that out and the foot pan rises up so that you can blow out your grass even from under there, so you're not having to reach down and dig under it, even to change pulleys or to change your belt. It makes it a whole lot easier and user-friendly for those guys out on the field.
You know, one of the things, too, that we've heard is, well, how do you take the deck off? There's no reason to take a deck off of a Hustler mower. There's nothing to do. There's no repair to the decks that we see on some of these other manufacturers around. Everything's really easy to get to, just like removing the foot pan or the covers on top of the spindles. Again, I would really suggest folks just come by and take a look.
Absolutely.
And with the display that you have set up, and be glad to show you that. We'd be glad to show you some videos, parts breakdowns, how the belts go on, the direction of the belts, and just simple service.
Yeah, all our Hustlers are welded, steel tubed, framed. All the decks are from 11 gauge steel to an 8 gauge steel, welded, fabricated deck. That makes it tough and it's not going to break.
They use a technique that's probably a 50-year-old technique. I had an old fitter, fit and finish fitter, come in one year, and he looked at the type of welds that they use and how these decks are put together. And he popped his head around. He said, nobody does this anymore. And I said, well, I know Hustler's done it for at least 20 years, the same fit and finish. And he said that is old school stuff that's high quality that nobody does. So those are in every Hustler product. We don't use stamp decks, as you say.
Right.
Everything is steel welded, high quality steel, put together in Heston, Kansas, and we know good things come out of Kansas, don't we?
Yeah, well, good things come out of the United States of America.
They sure do.
Right,
Yep.
and that's one thing that's very important to Hustler and to us and the things
Yep.
that we carry is we care about jobs in America.
That sure does.
Right.
Even the Kawasaki engines are produced here
Right.
in the States. And it was a Japanese startup, but they're made right here in the Southeast, and parts are produced here by our people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just means something to us.
Yep.
Right, those kind of things. So as we're getting ready to wrap up, I know we're getting close.
Are we?
Yeah, we are. And so we're going to talk about service kits.
Okay.
We've talked about the ease of service, how anybody can do it. If you want to do it, we can walk you through it. And one of the things that we have just for the ease of it, and I don't know if you can see it right
Yep,
there.
you got it.
Yep, this is our Kawasaki Engines tune-up kit. This one particularly fits the FR 651, the FR 691, FR 730, and all FS series. This has your oil. It has your oil filter, fuel filter,
Where's your
spark
bottle
plugs.
Uh-huh.
It's got everything you need to tune up your engine, to take care of it and keeping it running
Okay.
well.
What all's in there?
You got your 2 quarts of oil,
Okay.
oil filter, air filter, spark plugs, and your fuel filter, all in one box. And we've got a bunch of them. Getting ready for season, we want to have everything you need ready at Rent Right Equipment. And this is new. We just were able to get these from Kawasaki Engines, and it's a flexible oil drain hose. So I don't know if you've ever seen, they've got an oil plug, and they've got a little hose that comes with it. It sticks on the end of that oil plug, and you twist it out, and you can drain your oil.
Wow.
But these, all brass fittings.
Wow.
You pull that drain plug out, put that there, and your hose is already connected. So that all you've got to do is take off the little end and drain your oil
Yeah, hold that up where everybody can see it.
right there.
The fitting there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably should have took it out of the bag.
That's
but
fine. Yep.
There it is right there.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it makes servicing a whole lot easier,
Yeah.
getting the drain out so that you're not leaking oil onto your frame.
Okay. So
onto
we've
the
got
pan.
a simple oil pan underneath the mower.
Yep.
Take the cap off with a flex hose, and the oil drains into the pan very simply.
That's it. And see, that's what we're all about. Hustler's simple.
Yeah. What do these cost? What's the drain hose cost?
You're looking at about $57.38.
Okay.
And when it comes to overtime, it's going to save you time.
Okay. Great. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, as we're coming to an end, we just want to thank everybody for tuning in.
Yep.
We appreciate all of you. We appreciate our customers. Bill, what else do you have to say?
Make sure the name of our store is Rent Right Incorporated, and sales. Our main business is rental.
It is.
And we just are so fortunate to sell Hustler turf equipment. All your rental needs, come see us. We said last week that most of your major jobs around Lawrence County have had Hustler rental equipment on site there, from skid steers to mini X's to scissor lifts to man lifts, lawn and garden equipment rentals that we talked about today, floor sanding equipment, concrete grinding equipment. So you're looking for something, need some explanation of how to complete a job, give us a call.
Absolutely. We want to, again, thank you all. This has been the second episode for Rent Right Radio Hour.
That's right.
And we're going to be here
Really good.
Yeah.
every week.
Tip Tuesday.
Yeah,
Right.
hanging out with
Yeah.
you and talking about not only Hustler, but the different rental items that we have
That's
and
right.
the ways that we
Yeah.
can help you
Yeah.
get your projects done, keep your yard looking good, keep
That's
your
right.
homes,
Yeah.
remodels,
Right.
everything that you want to do to take care and make your home a better
That's
place to
100%.
live.
Do you have the person that comes and does it for us?
We do. We can recommend.
We can definitely recommend. I get asked if I am coming along with the rental equipment quite a bit, and sometimes it breaks their heart. You know, when I say, well, I'm going to be here.
We have a lot of great customers that we can recommend.
So you know how to use everything.
We do.
Yes.
So
Yeah, we
was
can
that
show you all
on
how
the
to
job
do it.
training you had to
This
learn?
is WDXE.
Pretty much, yeah. When as soon as I got there, it's like, go play with this and figure out how to use it and show you how to use
Services.
it. Because that's the way it is with any piece of equipment. It's a learning curve.
Yep.
If you've never run it before, but you've just got to do it.
You got to do it.
It's
All right.
just do it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Appreciate you.
In Patrick Mahomes' world. His accomplishments are second to none.
The Rich Eisen Show.
And I'm saying that in a world where Tom Brady exists. Look